And in the middle of the night, like Donnie's talking to me about his story and different aspects of things, and he starts crying. Like I just met him like 7 hours ago or something, and he's like that kind of forward, much forward, emotionally forward.
Hey, brother.
Joe?
I got something to tell you. Dad had a call yesterday from a guy at a record company. He says he heard our record and,
Our record? What do you mean?
Dreamin' Wild.
Great to meet you.
Wanted to talk to you about this.
There it is. It's Dreamin' Wild.
That's you guys?
Yeah, that's us.
This album is unbelievable. Truly. It really just blew my mind.
Bill, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Uh, Boy, there's so much to ask you about this film and the story in itself. You've produced a lot of films and real life stories and things. Where does this kind of compare to the work you've worked on? Does this have a unique feel to it in itself? The story of these brothers, it's just so unique on so many ways. Almost feels almost not real, in that essence. When you heard about this story, whether through the article or whatnot, what immediately kind of zeroed in or lasered in your focus into this?
Well, yeah, it was brought to me by a producer friend of mine who offered for me to direct it. I didn't really know that much about the story. I read the article. But I mean, when he pitched the story, I was like, I'm not really interested.
Interesting.
Because it seemed like, the way he pitched it, it made it sound like it was kind of searching for Sugar Man, which I thought was a good movie and all that. And I don't really like the idea of redoing or doing something that's been done before. Yeah. But I read the article on Jim's urging, and then I listened to the music, and like Baby, all those songs kind of worked its magic on me. But ultimately, it was really meeting Donnie and Joe. Went up to Spokane and met them in person, and that's what did it for me, because it really was so intriguing to kind of who they are and how they relate to each other, and the larger family, the larger Emerson family. Yeah. They're just so unique and authentic, I thought. Yeah. And I took on the challenge of, could I actually, translate that onto the screen?
And it's unique because, like, you would think people like that, I don't want to call them simple people, because they're very, I mean, there's something about this family that's so unique and timeless. I feel like that we don't see families like that in today's world in a lot of ways, portrayed like this, with the love and care for each other. I thought that was just so, it glues you into that. But it's interesting that they would be musicians or pursue music, and just imagine Donnie venturing off to LA. It just seems like a parallel universe for him to even be in that setting too. What kind of struck you about their, I guess, they're the all American family, really, but they feel so timeless too. Was that immediate too when you met them? Because it translates in this movie too. You get the sense for these people. They're so genuine and real and authentic. But also the music aspect of it, it almost seems like such an opposite. You'd never train them doing that. How did it strike you meeting them in person?
Yeah, it struck me, well, just what you're talking about, how extraordinary it is. I mean, I went and met them in Spokane. That's where Donnie lives. And so Donnie picked us up at the airport, and, right away you start to make this connection with this guy. And he drove us out to meet Joe out at the farm, which is like just over an hour away. So it's a great time to get to know him a little bit and start being introduced to everything. And on the way home, we stopped there a little bit, and then we came back to Spokane. And in the middle of the night, like Donnie's talking to me about his story and different aspects of things, and he starts crying. Like I just met him like 7 hours ago or something, and he's like that kind of much forward, emotionally forward, that he's willing to share that with me. And I thought that was intriguing. It made me want to tell the story even more. Again, eventually I got to know the father and mother and Joe Moore and the different brothers and sisters. And that's always what kept me driving or kept me going, was that authentic quality that you don't see in movies very much.
Yeah, I can just imagine in today's world, like someone you're trying to work with or tell them start picking you up, and so that just doesn't happen. It just the genuine nature of these people. And it seems like you almost had a chance, like almost be a reporter of sorts, like doing a long form story on them by meeting them and really them bringing into your life. I think that's a pretty unique aspect that you just shared there. That really, that kind of insight you don't get, even if you're trying to do movies on real life people, to have this sort of almost journalistic sense of getting to know them and their life.
Yeah, no, I mean, thankfully, Stephen, who did the original article, did some of that homework for me. But so reading the article, I knew a little bit about what was going on and some of the possible depths that you could explore. So by the time I spent time with them, I could go deeper on some of those things, and I had a head start on it. So, but it did take like 3 years to write the story and screenplay. So, that was just me being, I suppose, wanting to get it perfectly right. So,
hey, that makes a lot of sense. When you kind of try to have someone play, how much, first of all, insight did Donnie have into Casey playing him? Because, as a creative, as a director, as a writer, to get this part, to get this real person, someone to really take on the soul and character and make it, for the screen. Did you have a list of actors? How did that process go about? Because, I mean, Casey Affleck is one of the best actors on the planet. And he really, I don't know, Donnie, I'm looking forward to talking to him. I'd imagine he captured his essence too. How did you end up on Casey Affleck?
Well, I mean, just by seeing his work in the past, the other things he's done, he did seem to be that kind of guy that could take on Donnie. I mean, Donnie is a very unusual character. Like, as I talked about driving back with him and the emotion that was so much in the front there. But he also he's a very creative guy, and he's, writing music all the time now still. But, he's got a lot of depth in different areas. He also has this strange ability to kind of go into his own world. Like a lot of ways you're sitting with him and suddenly you're not sitting with him because he's in a different world in a way. And I thought that Casey had shown his ability to kind of do that, like shift into that other, be disconnected from the world as it is, and go off into this creative realm. So, yeah.
Did they interact a lot together on set or prior to filming, Casey and Donnie?
I wouldn't say a lot, but actually before Casey decided, he, drove to Spokane by himself.
Wow.
Actually showed up at Donnie's house and almost unannounced. I mean, I had a little bit of warning, but he ended up spending the night there. So, and then he and his wife, Donnie's wife, took Casey out to the farm to meet them. But it was really just 24, 48 hours. But they did get that chance to be together. And I think that was the genesis of of forming the character for him.
That's really cool. I kind of wanted to wrap, on this. It's interesting to look at Donnie's life. It's almost, he has two rebirths. The rebirth of the album kind of being, showcased years after, obviously, they created as teens. And now with this movie, it's like his story gets a second half to it. The second rediscovery in a sense.
Yeah.
What do you want to kind of the legacy of the film be, and I guess of Donnie's story with the film version, now that people get to see the story of those that didn't read it or kind of know the first rebirth? In the second rebirth, what are you hoping to kind of take away ultimately from this?
Well, like in the original story, or in the story that we represented in the movie, that is just one part of it. Is the album's rediscovery. Obviously they don't become superstars, but they get some more attention. Hopefully, maybe the movie is an opportunity to launch them further, which I think would be great and would be well deserved. But what I want people to take away from is really just the values expressed in the movie, in the family, and the authenticity of this family. I mean, I hope that people will take some of that away and into their lives. So
I think that was a big takeaway, because it struck me how appealing and attractive to see real people in today's world, where a lot of people are not themselves, or trying to be someone else. It's really refreshing to see, and a lot of credit to you, because you told this story in a very simple, very digestible way with no distractions. It just did service to these people. I felt like to make a movie like this, it was really doing justice to them by not having distraction, just focusing on who they are as people, really, and the story tells itself. So credit to you to really do it the way you did.
Thank you. Well,
thank you, Bill. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, and good luck. Thank you.
Hope to connect on the next one.
That'd be great. Look forward to it.
Take care, Bill.
Bye.
Bye-bye.